Welcome to Voice of the Fat Mantis, and we are breaking down the penultimate episode of the premiere season of Strange New Worlds. Episode 9 brings you everything from classic Trek, inclusive equipment callbacks and other information, things we may have seen in classic Trek, such as the cage and TOS, but also delivers something very new as they take thematically images out of science fiction horror, such as Aliens or The Predator. They mash them all into one. We have one amazing episode that, with all the things in it, I really liked. However, the things I didn't like, I hated with the fiery passion of 1,000 suns. But before we get into it, I'm gonna have to beg you to like, share, and subscribe. I am desperate at this point. Please, guys, please don't shut me down. I just need you to love me. I need to be accepted. Moving on, this episode, first thing that points out, I gotta say, Captain Pike lives up to his internet nickname of Captain Daddy in more ways than one. He's a super sex symbol, but also he's very much a dad figure. I love the scenes of them giving the promotion ceremony for certain characters, and let's face it, every time a character was named, they weren't wearing red shirts, but they might as well be. Because Ensign Gia and this newly made lieutenant guy, so obvious that they were going to be done. But I love those scenes, and it showed real characters living in a real world, which is very important for science fiction and fantasy to do. You got to remember, characters aren't there to just deliver information, but they're there for us. It's almost like we're a fly in the wall of somebody's life, and it felt like that a lot, particularly in the ready room when Pike was actually cooking for his staff, and he has his oldest son, Spock, take over the dishes. That looked like it was straight out of a family. And I love that it was almost like he was planning a family vacation when he said, we'll take the new ensigns, it'll be their final work here. And we have this looming fear that Cadet Uhura, now Ensign Uhura, will be leaving, as it seems she was done with her training time on the Enterprise, and we really don't want that to come. And we're like, what in this episode is gonna derail it? And let's see if that really happens. So they end up having to go to a ship that has been downed and obviously taken over eventually by the Gorn, and they've been laying their eggs in people. Now, this has never been discussed in other Trek, but apparently they have genetically modified themselves to do not appear on sensors, particularly their eggs, so they can do this scam of impregnating humanoids, cutting them loose, and they bring their sacks elsewhere so they can spread like an infestation upon the galaxy. They are a disgusting, vile species, and I really hope Starfleet just finds a way to annihilate them all. But it was really well done when they were trying to rescue people in here, and it became straight up sci-fi horror. I also loved the subplot of Spock freaking out. I love seeing a pre-Kolinar Spock having feelings, freaking out. In this particular episode, it was fear. Ethan Peck slammed it out the park as usual, and so did Nurse Chapel as being the smart scream queen of our space horror story. I got to tell you, obviously, when the strange unnamed alien started having the moving rashes on his skin and neck, we all knew what was going to happen. I mean, it's possible if I was the nurse, I would have pulled out a phaser and shot him dead, but maybe I don't have what it takes to be in Starfleet, and that's why Nurse Chapel is. You think? But anyway, she's like, I need to take more readings. I'm going to go get my equipment. And I was like, Ensign Gia, who's standing right next to her, is a dead woman. That poor girl. We knew her hardly. And sure enough, she's eaten by the baby Gorns. Now, this show is doing a great job. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And then they do that Hammer thing. You know what I mean. They do the oop-de-oop. Now, Hammer got spit on with an acidic spray from like a baby Gorn, and I dig it. And it turns out that's how they transmute it. You would think they would have to at least make out with you with their dinosaur mouths or something to inject you with the eggs, but no. Hammer ended up getting it, seeping through the skin, and it's infecting him. Now, Hammer ends up sacrificing himself, which at the time invoked an immense emotion in me and immense hatred. I was like, I don't know if I could ever watch this show again. Why did you do this to me? I was profoundly upset. Now, I've already theory crafted ways that Hammer is not actually dead, right? Star Trek is like a comic book. Oftentimes, it is a comic book. And the rule is, if you don't see the body, they're not dead. And sometimes when you see the body, they're still not dead. So In this episode, they were able to kill the main Alpha Gorn with coolant, as in they don't like the cold. Hemmer went out into the Arctic planet and he fell down the cliff. Now, obviously, the cliff, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be a hard fall for him to survive from. However, I think it's possible that the Gorn are unable to hatch in cold environments, and that's what will save Hemmer. And he is now like a freaking weird hermit living on that planet. And one day they're going to have to do Strange New Worlds, Episode 3, The Search for Hemmer. I'd be totally down for it. We hardly knew Hemmer either. He got no personal backstory or side stories of his own. No A-plot was ever about him, yet we loved him. The things that he did, watching him train Yara, just being a character like he was in the episode where they live in a fantasy book. And I am really torn up about their decision to make him leave. I really hope in episode 2 they find a way to make him come back, that he's still alive down on that planet, and that's going to be their secret weapon against the Gorn, using cold against them. Then the episode does another oop-de-oop on us at the end when Lan decides to quit Starfleet to help the little girl find her family. They don't have social workers in the 23rd century? I mean, come on, yo. Lan knows about phasers and beating people's asses, and she knows about the Gorn. Why would she think she could help this kid? And I'm wondering that maybe by the end of next episode, they're going to do a thing where everybody leaves. Uhura leaves because she has to go to another assignment. Hemmer's supposedly dead. Lan is out. Everyone else, the next episode, will find another reason to leave, and Pike will be left alone. And season 2 will be about getting the band back together. Let's hope so. I gotta say, I am so conflicted by this episode. I loved it, and then I hated it for the smidge at the end. But still, good writing can pull them out of this. The real question is, what did you think about it? Please let me know down in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and keep tuning in to Voice of the Fat Mantis for new Star Trek, Strange New Worlds, and other nerd interviews, reviews, analyses, and breakdown, and all the nerd news that's fit to print. Until next time, ciao for now.